Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Phase 1 of the Summit 3 European Qualifiers. Really, the pre-qualifiers. Today we'll know the top two teams will move on to Phase 2, the actual qualifier, to face off against the big dogs. First up in our two sets of best of threes today, we've got the Power Rangers versus the Four Anchors and the Sea Captain. Oh boy, should be a good one to get things started. I'm Zyori, joined today remotely by Blaze. Blaze, man, it's been a while. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, man. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I expect a lot from these two teams. I mean, obviously, Four Anchors, they kind of had a bit of an upset over Hellraisers earlier, and a lot of people didn't expect that. But overall, between these two teams, I still think Power Rangers are favored, but it should be a pretty close match. Looking historically, we actually see that most of the matches between Power Rangers and Four Anchors have gone 2-0. So I'm not sure if that's like a kind of momentum thing where you win game one, you just have a lot to carry into game two, or if it just is kind of a happenstance type thing. But it's really interesting to see Power Rangers kind of putting their foot forward on the Shadow Fiend Earthshaker instead of, they obviously don't get Saneko's Wisp, they don't get Yura's Troll, but they still want to go with that pretty good tempo that can still turtle in the right situation.
Yeah, PR's been very comfortable with the Shadow Fiend recently. They've been running a stand-in consistently. It's basically been Roger or QW, and QW is the mystery man that we don't know too much about, but I know he loves to play Shadow Fiend. That seems to be his comfort zone, his go-to hero, and when in doubt, that's their pick. So Earthshaker, good support to go with the Shadow Fiend, like you mentioned. Control some of the tempos, help disengage. Now the Four Anchors go with a Chen Skywrath opener, grabbing both their supports straight away. When we saw the Four Anchors in the quarterfinals of this tournament against the Hellraisers, we saw them first pick Enigma in every single game. Volix played it very well every game, but it was sort of just, it seemed to come out of left field for me with why are they first picking Enigma when no one else seems to be doing it, and well, here they're not even doing it, so I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting strategy. I mean, overall, Enigma's a great hero that works pretty well with the meta game that we're finding, but there are a lot of ways to counter it, and picking it up first, it almost seems like they want to bait enough counters on the Enigma that they can really push forward with their other heroes in the draft. One of the games in particular, they picked up a Storm and a Slark, and those heroes are really destroyed by the single target lockdown, or in the case of the Slark, that AoE disables, and if they can get Enigma to kind of tank a couple of those, or keep the enemy reserving those disables for the Enigma and the cancel the black hole, then they can kind of get more aggressive with their core heroes, which might be some part of the game plan, but overall it's just obviously it was something they're comfortable with, but it is interesting that they kind of changed that completely for this draft here.
Alright, so now Juggernaut picked up by the Four Anchors. We've seen the Juggernaut really fall off in popularity. Of course, he was nerfed a bit in that last little micro patch we had, but still can be potent if he gets that free farm, has all that space and light. I feel like it's really his early game that's a little bit more difficult now in terms of all that mana cost going for the spin. I can fix your issue, Blaze, but I need to go get headphones. Can you fill for like 30 seconds while I hop up?
No problem.
Alright, I'll be back.
So, essentially, yeah, the Juggernaut, he does have some issues with mana early on, but overall, I think that just one hero having Arcane Boots is going to nullify that. I still see the stats build pretty much every time, and I really didn't expect Juggernaut's skill set to fall off just because of how they changed the mana scaling. You have slightly more incentive to max your skills rather than going 1-1-1, but it's not really a game changer there. The big thing for me is the Agi reduction over time. Obviously, he's a very strong hero in the late game with his low base attack time, but if you just have the agility nerfed a little bit there, then he won't be the late game carry that maybe they want him to be. It's going to be actually pretty interesting here to see Phoenix picked up. Obviously, you only have the right clickers originally of just the Shadow Fiend and Ancient Apparition. Their Chilling Touch already slows their attack speed. The Fire Spirits could cause even more difficulty along those lines. So it was very possible to get the Supernova off effectively in fights, but up against the Silencer, who's another 600 range hero and who has some really good disables against the Phoenix, I think it's actually going to be a pretty tough time. Now, I'm curious how they're actually going to lane the Silencer. I think it's going to be safe lane carry, but the important thing here is if he gets Last Word off on the Phoenix, he can't Icarus Dive away. When you use the Icarus Dive with Last Word on you, it silences you, and you can't cancel the dive. You just get sent right back from whence you came. So it's actually pretty difficult for the Phoenix to survive in that lane, and I really do like the tempo that a carry Silencer will bring.
Okay, alright, so that should be a little better for you, Blaze. Yeah, carry Silencer, how exciting indeed. I feel like I've seen Ditya Ra play this at least once. if I'm not terribly mistaken. Memory not serving me so well, but the little mechanic against Phoenix is very handy, I suppose, is a phrase that comes to mind. I feel like Phoenix is in a pretty good place in general right now, though, Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, in the right situation, obviously. Like, when you're up against 3 ranged heroes, it's a little difficult, and the Ancient Apparition will have to mind his Chilling Touch, not to slow their attack speed too much. I actually think that the Phoenix was probably a mistake of a pick here. Like, the Silencer is such a good counter to him in the lane, and then later on, they're just going to be able to kind of ignore the egg for the most part. Like, they don't really have buffer heroes. They don't have like a Ravage to jump in with and create that space. So we see Cogs do that sometimes to try to give the Phoenix egg just a little bit of extra time, a couple seconds, and that's going to enable it to actually get off in the fight without losing your Phoenix. But in this case, in the offlane role with 2 supports that don't really bring that much in hard lockdown, you're going to be heavily relying on Hellbear Smashers and the Centaur Conquerors to actually allow Phoenix to ever use an ultimate on more than one person.
Yeah. One of the things that Phoenix does really well is control that Roche Pit with the Icarus Dive flying about, everyone all grouped up for the Fiery Spirits, and using that egg on the high ground can be a little bit difficult to scat out, even if it buys you, like you mentioned, an extra second or two. Sometimes that is the make it or break it between a supernova success and a supernova failure. Final ban's coming out. Power Rangers take out the Storm Spirit, and the 4 anchors will ban out Rexar, the mighty Beast Master. We'll see how these final picks settle down. Both teams looking for a core here, and for the Sea Anchors, it looks like it'll probably be their mid-hero. What do they have in mind here to tango with the Shadow Fiend? Sniper is the first thing that comes to mind, but hey, he was banned out nice and early by the Power Rangers.
Yeah, the Troll Warlords as well. Those are the 2 heroes that I look to go up against the Shadow Fiend early. Other than that, it's a pretty hard matchup. Like, even if you shut down the Shadow Fiend early, he's a hero that kind of bounces back really well. And if you don't shut him down early, he snowballs like crazy. So it's kind of a situation where you're not happy either way, no matter what you bring. So I think they're just kind of call the middle lane a bit of a wash and get some good farm on your Ember. In this situation, you've got some really good fight on your hands because everybody's going to be focusing on the squishier supports, the Phoenix Egg, things like that, and that's going to enable the Ember Spirit to do a lot of damage with his Sleight of Fist. The problem I have with that is Silencer just being able to counter him so significantly. Like, this Ember Spirit's going to have to rush a Manta style, I think, and even then he's going to get Echo Slam pretty hard.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Manta is a go-to, but an item you don't really want to go against the Earthshaker in a lot of cases, so will be a tough game for 4 anchors here. I would definitely agree with you. We'll see what Power Rangers grab to round out their roster. Looks like an off-laner is what they'll need to pick up here, and a lot of options still available. Bat Rider's been taken out, as has the Brood Mama. What would be good here? Blaze, I want to ask you about Tidehunter. Man, he's been on the shit stick recently.
Yeah, I mean, the lightning experience for him isn't as nice as it used to be. Like, the fact that he actually has to extend further into the lane makes it so that he is much easier to pick off. The supports that are generally picked up in this metagame are actually a lot better at zoning him out than before. Like, before you would have a greedy jungler that doesn't really contribute to the lane, and you would have one babysitting support. Tide loves that situation, 1v2, because essentially the Kraken Shell will eliminate almost all the harassment he receives, and then that's going to allow him to just continue to stay on the lane with maybe 8 tangos. So in this situation with dual supports up against him, I'm not as confident in the Tide, but the Faceless Void would be really strong because of the fact that he does have the time lock. He just has to worry about the Skyrise Silence in order to make sure he's safe on the lane.
Well, Blaze, things not going to go quite the way you had predicted here. Dityara will be the one to grab the Faceless Void, probably your safe lane farmer. Seneko takes a support Silencer, and I think that means we're looking at an off-lane Earthshaker here. But we'll see. Maybe Power Rangers will swap around a little bit once we get into the game. Alright, Blaze messing with his settings here. So we'll see. Interesting. We saw the off-lane Earthshaker the other day when I was casting with Dakota. Now, my old man memory is failing me again here, Blaze. I'm forgetting which match it was. It might have been the Power Rangers versus Moscow 5 series. It's all starting to run together a little bit. But it's pretty good. Of course, with the Earthshaker, you can use your Fissure kind of like Clockwork uses his cogs to block out the lane and get yourself a little bit of lane control, at least early on, before they clear out that pull camp and get the control back. So you can find at least a fast level 2, fast level 3, and then that allows him to move around the map, utilize the jungle, and kind of sack the offlane. So
yeah, there's a lot of potential there. I mean, I think that obviously the intention is to just hold the bottom tier one as long as possible. Against a hero like Juggernaut and Chen, it's very likely to go down pretty early on. So I definitely think that it's nice to have him involved, but you have to be careful how far back you pull the lane. Just to make sure that you have the equilibrium in a position where you're actually still getting farmed and not just holding onto the tower constantly. But, I mean, the early rune contest is really good for the Earthshaker. Like, the Fissure block makes it so they can't go for the bottom rune, and I actually think this hero is going to be able to do a lot of work as he roams.
Yeah, certainly agreed. I believe that is Cheshire Cat on the Earthshaker. I'll try to take a look at the profile real quick. Go ahead and assume that it's on private. Yep, it sure is, but 90% sure that is Cheshire Cat, their standard off-lane player. So we'll take the Earthshaker. Seneko on the Silencer. That puts QW mid on the Shadow Friend. J4 takes his Ancient Apparition. Safe lane farmer, Dityara, he'll be on the Void. Nothing but a Ring of Protection and 2 sets of Tankos out of the gate for him to get things started. Radiant side, we've got the 4 anchors. We've got the Masturba Man, Matumba Man on the Juggernaut. He'll be joined by Volix on the Skywrath Mage, already getting a counter ward down and a slight vision victory, making that Earthshaker's life a little more difficult. Boogie, he'll be here on the Chen, headed to the jungle. Nymphy will take the Ember Spirit mid, and that leaves Kalu, aka Trixie. He'll be here on the Phoenix.
Yeah, so it'll kind of be interesting to see the Silencer pick up this support role so that the Earthshaker can go towards the off lane. No matter the case, Silencer is going to be impactful. Like a support Silencer or a carry Silencer, I feel he's about equally prominent in both role sets. But it is, yeah, he's going to have to dedicate himself pretty hard to the lane, continuously leech experience rather than pulling, because he wants to make sure this Phoenix doesn't get out of control. And against the Void 1v1, Phoenix has the time of his life, but the Silencer will make it a little difficult for him.
Mm-hmm. So Earthshaker already getting some lane control for now, and Ding's level 2 pretty much out of the gate. Things going pretty decently for him. Mid, Nymphy, he's definitely going to struggle a little bit. There is a support nearby for the Shadow Fiend. J4 just lingering in the vicinity. Chen will bring a Centaur in, maybe hoping for something he could harass a bit more with, a Harpy. Maybe one of those tornadoes would go well, but instead we'll just harass with a Centaur. Gets off a War Stomp, doing some poke damage to QW here, and trying to help out Nymphy any way that he can.
Yeah, I'm not sure the Silencer's actually, or the Phoenix is actually going to be able to get to his Tranquil Boots within his first time on the lane. Like, I think he's actually going to have to go back to the Fountain. If you look at his spells, they're both on cooldown, and they both cost a decent chunk of HP. So, unless he's chewing through Tangos, he's not really doing much. And although Silencer did chew through his own Tangos, he's happy to kind of trade hits and trade restoratives in that regard. So, I think Phoenix will be able to get boots, but probably not the full Tranquils for his first back. And that's not the timing you really want. Maybe if the Chen can kind of make up for it with what he accomplishes in the jungle, they'll still have an experience advantage. But overall, like, this Earthshaker is going to be able to keep doing his thing a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, and there's that tornado in the mid lane. We got a Wild Wing Ripper, and he's ripping away into QW. This is going to be so irritating to deal with. The range on this tornado surprisingly big as QW gets harassed here. Uh-oh, first blood attempt coming in. They'll find it. The Ember Spirit gets credit for it as Nymphy moves on in, hits him with some Searing Chains, and the Shadow Fiend can't take the heat, so he'll have to head back to the well to cool off.
Yeah, so, I mean, a bit of a mistake to stick around that far forward, but obviously you only see so much on the map right now on the Dire side. The ward vision for the Radiant is much more favorable, and they know when they can kind of press their advantage like that. We actually see a potential courier snipe coming in from the mid. Seneko making his way that direction. They see it now on the map. The bottle and stick will be delivered, but Seneko, nah, it was pinged out.
They see him. Yeah, walks a little too close to the towers. It is daytime after all. Very, very difficult little window that you have to hide in there. So a noble effort, fortunately, will not work out for him here. Lieutenant Squawkins will stay alive for now. Checking in on the safe lane farmers, the Masturbation Man in the safe lane looking pretty good, tied with the Void, both around 17, 18 CS apiece, and pretty comparable stuff. We'll see if any farm accelerators come out, any Hands of Midas or tools like that, but could just be a double Mask and Madness kind of game, given that it is Jug and Void after all here, Blaze.
Yeah, I can see definitely the Mask of Madness on the Juggernaut, and presumably the Void will go for his classic build.
Trixie in a little bit of trouble. As you pointed out, that last word does a lot of work against the Phoenix. Icarus dives away, then comes right back to him. And Seneko will secure a kill in the top lane. Nicely done.
Yeah, and it's just essentially he's going to be coming back to the lane at level 2 when the Void is rapidly approaching level 6, and he will get his Tranquil Boost, but he'll probably go down a second time when that Chronosphere comes online, so not a great way to start himself off. On bottom is actually pretty interesting. The fact that they rotated J4 to get solo experience down here is quite something. I mean, obviously the Earthshaker's still looking to do his thing controlling the runes, but the Ancient Apparition actually is kind of in jeopardy if he ever pushes himself too far forward, but they seem to have a good idea of the whereabouts of the enemy supports. The Chen's far off, and they're just controlling the runes, so they'll get both the regen and the bounty rune this spawn around.
Yeah, certainly good news for the Power Rangers. Very even game so far, though. Golden experience graph still close to that zeroed out mark. Only 1 kill for each team. Everybody pretty happy just sitting back and farming for now. Looking at the Shadow Fiend, what build will QW go for this game? We've seen an array of Shadow Fiend builds throughout this small single-elim tournament, Blaze. We've seen the Yule's Rush, we've seen the Mech Rush. Yesterday we saw a BKB into S and Y, saw a Mask of Madness the other day. What does QW have in store for us here?
I don't think the Yules would be that impactful this game because he is up against a Juggernaut as well as an Ember Spirit, both of them at least being able to pop the Flame Guard or the Blade Fury to survive through the impact. And that you kind of want to go for those insta-gips. You could still do it on the supports, maybe on the Phoenix in the right situation, but overall it's just not as reliable. I think he wants to invest more in team fight and go for the mechanism to support his team. That way his ultimates can be kind of at half distance and he can still make an impact.
Phoenix still continuing to struggle here in this top lane. He's at least found his level 3, but farm is, well, usually not something the Phoenix needs all that much. Usually a Hand of Midas is where he wants to go so he can level up that egg, hit level 16 as quickly as possible, and here Trixie not really getting much of anything. Conceding only 1 death, I suppose you could say, is a minor victory, but yeah, he's in Strug City. The offlane for PR going a bit better. J4 at least leeching some XP in the trees. Frosty's almost level 4, so looks like taking some XP in the offlane has worked okay for Power Rangers thus far.
Really nice farm for the Shadow Fiend too. They've been stacking up in the jungle for him, so he's able to pop that regen rune, get a lot of raises off, and that's going to actually bring him up to his max souls for now, 29. The Ember Spirit does try to contest it, but just a little bit too late. He was focused on getting his level 6. And as are all the supports. Like, it's actually quite surprising, but like, every single support has hit the lane for solo for a short period of time, with the exception of the Silencer. They all kind of want to make sure that across the board, they're getting level 6 at a good time, and that's probably the best way to deal with the tempo that Chen brings.
Well, now J4 could find himself in trouble. Haystern onto Volix. There's also a Wild Wing Ripper beaking him down. In comes Cheshire Cat, puts out a fissure, but it won't be enough to stop that Skywrath Mage from finding a kill on the Ancient Apparition. Now Seneko TP's down to the bottom, tier 1, looking for a kill, not going to find it. Now the Omni Slash sets up a freebie from a Tumba Man. Misplay there from Seneko. That'll make it 3-1 for the 4 anchors.
Yeah, they're going to go on mid, though. The Fissure will kind of disrupt things here. Shadow Fiend won't be able to do much more than just pierce through the immolation, and the really high roll in the Test of Faith will come through from the Chen.
How high was that? Was that like 180?
I will be looking at the combat log for that one, because that was actually insane damage output.
Yeah, the range is 100 to 200, so pretty big gap there. Ooh, up top, Phoenix will be able to Icarus dive away without the presence of the Silencer here.
He hit him for 186, so 186. Very high roll on that.
Woo, lucky. All right. Well, everyone likes a little bit of gambling when they're playing Dota, right? Nymphy on the Ember Spirit. He's getting okay farm in the mid. Like you mentioned, it should be a pretty even trade early on. Shadow Fiend will start to pull ahead as he utilizes the jungle and gets more points in that Necro Mastery. He is out farming the Ember Spirit, though important to note that some of those are neutrals. But 39 to 27 in raw CS across these mid laners.
Yeah, the Ember Spirit, I mean, he is a melee hero after all. He does have some issues there until he gets that maxed Flame Guard to survive through all the magical damage, as well as get some AoE damage on the lanes. So he'll get there eventually, but it is going to be a slow roll, and more importantly, the fact that he has to go for a first item defensive against the Silencer is kind of brutal. I mean, like, if you think about it, he's worried about getting Chronosphered in general for this entire game. There's no way you really get around that unless you're running Blink Dagger. And then beyond that, the Silencer is going to be causing a lot of issues with the global. So these two ultimates are going to shut down his ability to maneuver in the fights and to use his escape mechanism if he needs to. And that just overall is pretty scary. Mid lane, missing the Syrian Chain.
That's unfortunate.
He was kind of hesitant there. He didn't want to fully commit to a dive, and then when he doesn't step perfectly, the Earthshaker with the boots first will be able to just walk away.
All right, smoke rotation from 4ASC. Volix and Boogie headed up to the high ground. They walk right into QW. Oh, the Shadow Fiend in the wrong place at the wrong time. An easy pick for the 4 anchors. Boogie will get credit for that one. 5-1 now as they pick on this mid laner once more.
And this is a really good time to find that Shadow Fiend kill, really hurting his tempo. But up top, yeah, that last word versus Icarus dive once again. You just can't really get out of that.
Kills in every lane
really
here,
far
Blaze.
forward in the lane.
Look at this. Matumba Man gets a solo pick down bottom on the Ancient Apparition, not even using an Omni Slash, just showing off that Mask of Madness and running him down. Now in the mid, as I'm looking at that, they gank the Earthshaker. Non-stop aggression across these lanes. 4ASC striking on 3 fronts at once as they now move into the Tier 1 tower mid.
Yeah, that's really nice for them. They know that PR's 5-man is actually really scary, so they just want to go ahead and get these quick early picks out. And the Shadow Fiend one was luck, but the other ones were definitely using their advantage and pressing that. The Mask of Madness, the Ancient Apparition pretty much can do absolutely nothing against that, and he just gets crit down. So it's just really good point of aggression, and they will take a nice little lead here despite the early, extra kills on the Phoenix.
Yeah, and now PR get a little pick-me-up. They clear out the Chen creep. Still about a 3,000 net worth lead for 4ASC, and will actually secure that 3,000 mark as the bottom Tier 1 tower goes down to the Wrath of the Juggernaut. XP in their favor as well. Part of that is the Chen, and part of it is their early success they found. About 2,000 XP going their way as well. Now Void picks up his Mask of Madness, so the safe lane farmers both getting their farming tools up, ready to skirmish a little bit if need be here, Blaze. It's madness all over the field.
Yeah, I'm actually curious if the Ancient Apparition is going to go for Hand Midas. It's a very fast game to go for it. Like, there's so much action already, and we expect a lot more given the 15 to 20 minute mark, what these heroes can do. But I guess if you have the defensive item on the Shadow Fiend, if you go for the mechanism, which he is, I could see the Midas still working out on the AA, and he'd be able to do so much work if he could make it all the way to the Aghanim Scepter.
Okay, we'll see what he does. Some Ancient Apparitions I've seen recently just prioritizing Force Staff before the instead of the Hand of Midas Ags build, and this could be a game where he wants to do it. Matumba Man on his way in, has an Omni Slash, won't even need it though, just Mask of Madness chops him down with a Haste Rune. Doesn't get much easier than that, Blaze.
Yeah, he's even without the haste, he's probably running close to 522 with the Mask of Madness and the phase boots, the Yasha. It's S and Y, I think, is what tips him over to 520 without phase, just with the Mask of Madness. So, yeah, he can close distance really quickly, and we're actually going to see him reserve the ultimate yet again. So he still has that tool in case it will allow him to survive, dodge a Chronosphere, or just get a kill.
Now he's just chopping into this Tier 2 tower, gets a good bit of damage into it, at least like a quarter or so. They will start to react and rotate down this way to push the Matumba Man back, but even just pulling people out of the lane is a victory here. J4 needs to stay very far back as the rest of his team rotates up top. It's a 4-hero rotation around the Chen, maybe looking to push the top Tier 1 tower now, as that is the last Tier 1 for their available for their taking.
Yeah, and now at this point you realize why Power Rangers have been prioritizing getting their supports, their ultimates so much. It's because if you look at the situation right now, you have 4 people posturing towards top lane. You have to set up for a massive Chronosphere. But when you hit that Chrono, where is the follow-up? If the Shadow Fiend isn't right there with a double raise, then you really don't have that much. But now that you get the Ice Blast, as J4 just now hit level 6, and as you approach the global ultimate for the Silencer, you're in a much better position to really follow through on those Chronos and to actually get multiple kills out of them.
Oh, mid lane, we'll see a little skirmish break out. Earthshaker tries to TP home. Nemphy with the Searing Chains will chase him down. Phaseboots coming up in a second. Matumba Man comes cruising in, and Nemphy says, nope, you're not taking this one, buddy. That's me. I got a sleight of fist. I'm going to secure it. 9-2 as they pick on the dire supports once more. Still grouped up in the top, thinking about a push, utilizing this Wild Wing Ripper as he hides. Oh, 2 of them hiding in the tree line here. It's a dance party, Blaze.
Yeah, just ready for the siege, ready to go in and make it happen. They're going for the tornado. One is going to maybe scout out to the north of the tower, and the other one could just go ahead and clear out the creep wave very efficiently. But Ditya is pretty buried, and I don't think they're going to find him out. They just want this tower to fall quickly without too much commitment. Now, yeah, just looking at the KDA, like, of course it's 9-2, which is already really good for 4 acres. Oh, they're really looking for Void. They're
Phoenix,
so close.
He's so close. He's right on top of him. Ditya can feel the fire upon his faceless face. Oh my, he's going to hang around here. This could be disastrous for 4ASC. In comes the Ice Blast. Now Dityara comes in. Just a solo chrono only catches Trixie. I think hoping for a little more than that. Even got hit by a Fiery Soul beforehand. Oh, no, it's a disaster for Dityara. Now QW comes in, channels up the Requiem. Supernova goes off, doesn't stun anyone, but Faceless Void will be the first casualty of this fight. Now the Earthshaker, Cheshire Cat, in some trouble. Low on HP, goes in a big dunk, but doesn't secure any kills. The all heal from Chen counteracts all of his efforts. It'll be a 2-0, and now this tower will be available for the taking. PR not getting what they wanted out of that fight.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. I think Dityara tried to get a little too fancy with his movement in the Chronosphere. Like, he didn't have an attack speed slow on him at that moment, so he probably could have gotten an extra auto or two off on the Phoenix. Maybe that takes a Supernova out of the picture, and I think in that case it's a lot better fight for Power Rangers. But yeah, they just don't get the initiation they're looking for. The Ice Blast is there, the Chronosphere is there, but one more Bash proc, one more auto attack, and that probably would have been a completely different engagement. Either way, they're farming towards their global, but they won't have Chrono for some time.
Yeah, this is getting out of control though, Blaze. There was this window maybe 5 minutes ago. I was thinking, okay, 4ASC making a lot of good movements, but PR can easily recover. Now, 7,500 gold, 4,500 experience. That's the lead at 14 minutes. And if the 4 anchors keep up this aggression, PR could just keep digging themselves into a deeper and deeper hole. Nemphy bumps into J4. This Ancient Apparition is just food for any of the cores on the 4 anchors. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Sineko brought down by the Skywrath Mage. Mystic Flare, oh my, just doing too much work. Silencer does find his level 6, but it comes at a grave cost.
Yeah, and at this point, like, they can't defend bottom lane. That's going to be pushed in by Matumba Man solo. Up on top, that's going to be going down pretty low. I think they will look to at least contest that, because losing 2 tier 2s at this stage, that would just be too much. But
and they will go back to stop Ditya.
Yeah.
Can he make it out here? A little bit of backtrack action, only 1 point in it. He'll time walk into the trees. TP home, can they find him? They can't. And that faceless pink man makes it out.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't even, like, get but a few hundred HP off the tier 1 mid. They lost bottom, and the tier 2 top is still being pressured by the Chen. So overall, they're not in a great spot here. And the next fight, like, has to be perfect for Power Rangers. They have to use their ultimates expertly. They have to just find that opening that we thought they might have on top, tier 1, and make it just happen with a nearly full 5-man wipe. They've got to get 3 or 4. The Ice Blast does go into the pit, so Matumba Man's confidence going up against Roshan, not so substantial, but in either case, they're still going to be able to finish it off, and there's not much PR can do.
Yeah, unfortunately for PR, the Ice Blast does not kill the healing ward, so Matumba Man can utilize some patience, go back into the pit. Now he's rewarded with an Aegis of the Immortal. He's also completed his Manta style with 1,200 gold to spare. This net worth graph looking scary. 5 figures on the Matumba Man. The leading farmer on PR is the Shadow Fiend at only 5.8k. He's grabbed his mechanism. Good team fighting item, obviously, but still lacking on the damage output. This Shadow Friend is actually looking pretty friendly, not so scary. And of course, he's like living in Halloween Town. He wants to instill fear in the hearts of the 4 anchors, and so far he has not been able to achieve that goal. 0, 3, and 0.
No, I mean, maybe if he bottles the DD rune, that'd be nice for him to really get some team fight damage output. But right now, he doesn't even have the treads. He just has the mechanism wand, and although that'll keep him alive in the fight for the most part, it won't change his fate. Dityara will be able to get the time walk off right before the last word, or the Ancient Seal comes out. Yeah. So he does survive, but I mean, they're not actually being able to spread out and farm.
A little surprised. I guess Matumba Man didn't want to burn the Omni in case he could time walk away there. Such a close call, though. A pick on the Void would have, I think, secured this tier 2 tower here in the mid lane that this Chen is starting to poke at. Nice spread of creeps on the Chen, getting that toughness aura from the Wild Wing. You got a little bit of the unholy aura from that Satyr. Stun and a Dark Troll Summoner net. Ice Blast will come in. Actually takes down the bird. Chen's army going to get a little softer here, but this tier 2 tower, I think short-lived here, Blaze. Looks like PR not too interested in coming to its defense, at least not yet. Cheshire Cat throws out a fissure to break things up a little bit. There is a glyph. Well, Ancient Apparition gets picked off around the backside, not missing much there. Tower goes down, and there will be no defense. There's only one outer tower remaining. It's the top one, and it's not looking so healthy.
And Nemphy was the one to bottle that double damage turn, and that's a lot of output at this stage in the game here. Just jumped in, used all his fire remnants, but easy picks, and yeah, silenced out. The Void will fall as well, and he's actually down for a considerable amount of time with 40 seconds and maybe a kill on the top lane. Yeah, the double damage cancels the Requiem and the DD doing so much work. He actually dodged the damage, it looks like. It's hard to tell with the Flame Guard, but in either case, he just goes ahead and right-clicks him down. QW.
Chop, chop.
Falling, and these are big kills. I mean, this is just negating any potential to come back in this game. And for those wondering about the Juggernaut Blink Dagger, although unorthodox on many heroes...
Dude, Trouf is loving it. Trouf is smiling right now. Yeah. It's his build, man. It's great. You can use it while you're Omni-slashing, so it's really good against the Void.
Yeah, it's extremely good against the Void, because you can just avoid Chronospheres entirely. Like, they don't actually have a quick set of damage. They don't even have an Urn of Shadows to put your Blink on cooldown. Oh, Omni-slash to cancel the TP.
Good night.
War will go down. And I mean, we're just going to keep seeing more of this. Like, Ember Spirit and Juggernaut have so much mobility, they have so much map control, they can just keep making these plays happen, and now you can even dodge the Chronospheres with the Blink Daggers. Like, it's actually getting extremely scary and almost to no point of return for PR.
Invisibility rune on the Skywrath Mage, doing the math, thinking about a solo kill on the Tauren. Can he find it? Volix, he wants it. Oh, he's got the Juggernaut nearby. Here we go. Ancient Seal. Are they actually going to have the damage for this? There we go. Blink Dagger from Matumba Man. That'll be enough. The Ancient Seal. No, the mech is there. Oh, boy, the Earthshaker lives. I'm a little surprised he held the Mystic Flare. I kind of paused for a second waiting for it, and I guess just trying to save some of his mana. Maybe just a little too low on mana at the beginning of that fight. Well, the Earthshaker gets a pass, but that's okay. Still 17-2, 4 anchors, in control of this game with a huge golden experience edge.
It's a 6-tower advantage. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. Maybe that Zyori goes for a Chronosphere up top, but I mean, that's a solo kill. Like, you don't use your Chronosphere at this stage of the teamfight game to go ahead and get a solo pick. Like, it just delays 4 anchors from just grouping up together and finishing this off. The Aegis will be expiring in a short amount of time here. It actually is just 1 minute off, but I don't know if they even need it to really push the high ground right now. All they need to do is get one ultimate on cooldown, either the Global Silence or the Chronosphere. They don't really worry about the Echo Slam as much since the Earthshaker doesn't have a blink just yet. So, like, at this point, it really just is getting one of those ultimates on cooldown and pushing in for the win. Oh, Shadow Blade.
Whoa.
That's a your raw pickup if I've ever seen one.
Shadow Blade Faceless Void. Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta be a little sneakier about it. You just want, he knows about the blink daggers. He knows that if he just time walks in, he's either gonna get silenced or blinked away, and he's gonna miss 1 or 2 heroes. So if he Shadow Blades and they don't see this, it is a single perfect initiation. But I only think that trick will work once. After that, they're gonna have a lot of sentries.
Of course, that's the problem with it. Oh no, Zyori! How unfortunate! There we go. Comes out the ultimate from the Skywrath, which they actually have the damage here. He gets a bash on the Skywrath, but the laser brings him down. Talk about your all-time bad luck. Revealing the Shadow Blade, walk on top of a Sentry Ward right next to one of the supports. That right there is a microcosm of how this game has been going for Power Rangers.
That is insanely unfortunate. I mean, that was just a Sentry to a D ward. That was just to control the jungle a little bit better, and suddenly a Gem of True Sight. Suddenly you don't get any chance of making this initiation happen the way you wanted it to. Like, that was a one-time play. He's just like, okay, we're going to get one 5-man wipe with this surprise Shadow Blade, and that would be great. But suddenly it's revealed, he dies, he gets nothing, and he's just wasted a ton of gold.
Yeah, that is one of the problems with the Shadow Blade. It can really help you snowball. It's great when you are a little bit ahead, like the way Illidan likes to play his Slark, where you can go hunting, sort of a Quaswex Invoker style, where he gets that Orchid and just moves around the jungle looking for ganks. That's when the Shadow Blade feels really valuable to me, when you're picking on supports who have no way to buy dust or sentries, or at least not readily. Here, 4ASC have plenty of money to deal with this Shadow Blade. I'm sure they'll pick up a gem in the near future, and
yeah,
wards will be coming out of play. Oh, they've already got it. Yep, there you go. It's out on
the courier. So it's making its move. The Phoenix should be the one to carry it, I suppose. We'll see. Atos on the Phoenix, and the gem will be floating. There it is. Okay. So now they have an invisible Phoenix with Rod of Atos scouting things out with the Gem of True Sight, and I don't know. I mean, we do have the Sentry Ward on the high ground, so maybe they see Kalu before he sees them, but overall, it's just not a good time.
These wards in some trouble. Looking at Dire Vision, they've got nothing. One ward down here on the high ground, but not giving them a hell of a lot of intel right now. And yep, say goodnight to your ward, boys, because old Kalu here is on his way over. Trixie clearing out the map. PR in desperation mode. Here you go, your Hail Mary smoke. All 5 heroes rotating through their secret shop. They get a ward down on their way. And we'll rotate through the jungle, hoping to find any kind of initiation, any kill, anything to help their bottom line at this point, Blaze.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not going to find anything.
Oh, they need it. They need it so bad. This smoke has to work, or I just don't think...
They smoked under this ward, I think. They saw it. Oh, no. No, they didn't. Anyway, we'll hold that thought. Trixie initiated on. He'll be the first to go down. Global Silence comes out. Bombs will go down as well. The dunk from Cheshire Cat. QW channels the Requiem, but out comes the Omni Slash. All heal from Chen.
Nice.
Jug does a lot of damage, but now the Chronosphere on 2. Nemphy, well, still alive, but gets bashed. Flame Guard keeping him alive. Turns it around onto the Void, but will lose his life. It's a 3 for 2 as things start to settle down, and that will be the end of it. So a good fight for Power Rangers. Where did they smoke? It was close to this ward.
It was back towards their base. It was much
back
further away from the jungle. Because they just saw them D-ward here, so they didn't want to even risk being in that area at all. So they were I think they were like at their tier 3 on bottom when they did it. But
wow, that's a 3,500 net worth gain though.
Pretty telling.
Yeah, that's... Whew.
Wow, that is 3,700 gold in favor of Power Rangers overall, the net swing at least, and 7,000 experience gain for them. I mean, that's huge, but I don't know. I feel like that's the only play they can make is keep those smokes rolling, and right now they've only got 2 left, and I assume that 4 Anchors is going to be suspecting the next one to be coming.
Yeah. Well, Shadow Fiend gets a new item out of that fight. BKB completed on him. Ancient Apparition still not really finding too much. Void, samesies, but now there's a Blink Dagger up on the Earthshaker. So, big item always. Gives him a lot more potential. And we'll see what they can get done with it.
Yeah.
Things shaping up a little bit more for the Power Rangers, though they still have a pretty large hill to climb.
Yeah, heck, he just picked up his Blink Dagger and then he follows it up immediately with a Ghost Scepter. Like, he got so much gold out of that fight, but other than getting the Omni Slash, I'm not sure if that's going to be the thing that actually puts him back in the game. Right now we've got an Eye of Scotty up on Juggernaut, stacks perfectly with his Mask of Madness, and he's just able to jump in and get the kills pretty easily, as well as putting that debuff on everyone. Now that this debuff is pretty important because it does slow attack speed by 45, and that is what Phoenix loves to see on his team.
Yes, absolutely. Great synergy there. Chen also completes his Aghanim Scepter after Mech, so that first big core item now out on the field. Be able to take over some Ancients, and now getting that short cooldown on the Hand of God gives 4ASC some more sieging power, sustainability in general, all that good stuff.
I'm not sure if the reduced cooldown of Hand of God is all that great this game because of there's...
Yeah, the Ice Blast kind of...
He should just be able to TP, but he wants to try to turn it. Kalu, I'm not sure about this. I mean, he's taking some hits here. They do go for the global, and they will commit for the kill, but it cost Zyori's life. I guess it's an even exchange, but with 2 extra ultimates committed, make it 3, it's just... I don't know. I really don't feel like that's the exchange that you're looking for when he could just have TP'd away. Down bottom, it is going to be the Earthshaker getting picked off by the Tumba Man. No running from this fella. And going back to that earlier point that we were looking at, actually just slipped my mind there. I got distracted.
Oh, no. Memories, Blaze, memories. But I think you're right. The ultimates are the big problem there. The trade actually, well, if it's a 1-for-1, taking out the Earthshaker out of the equation, they get a good bit because of the rubber band effect. The problem is now Global and Chronosphere are down right as Roche respawns. So 4ASC can walk into the pit, feel very safe doing this, and again, age is making things more difficult. The point we were on, though, was the all-heal from Chen. Yeah, the Aghanim's upgrade here.
So essentially, when you're up against the Ice Blast, you generally have to wait until that expires anyways. It's not going to be agged up anytime soon, so it is only a duration of 8 seconds, but you have to wait for that 8-second debuff to go away, then you pop the Hand of God, and then you wait another 30 seconds. You want to be able to... You're really taking advantage of the reduced cooldown Hand of God. You want to just be able to spam that. Anytime, at any point in time, it's just going to be, okay, well, it's off cooldown, we need a little bit of an HP boost, throw it out, and that's gonna be perfectly fine for most pushing and slow sieging lineups. But in this case, up against the Ice Blast, it's just, I think the timing windows are reduced, and Tumba Man will be hit by cold feet.
I was gonna say there is one hole in all of your theory crafting here, Blaze, and that's assuming the Ancient Apparition is gonna be alive for any of it. He has been that hero that just gets picked off first. 0, 8, and 1. He has died so many times in this short game. I agree with everything you said except for that one caveat. And here, he'll be down as they siege the high ground, tier 3 tower under heavy attack.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they don't have to be operating 100% efficiency to push through. They have an Aegis on the Juggernaut. He is farmed as all get out. We'll lose some mana here, but just says, okay, well, you know, pop some spells on me, I'll I'll take the fight to you. But in the end, he does focus objectives, goes to the racks here. The Frenzy is not being used on the Ancient Thunderhide. Get it together, Boogie, but it's...
Come on. Yeah, use your Frenzy. You don't see the Ancient Thunderhide picked up that often. I think he was just low on Ancients and wanted to grab something. Oh, the Tumba Man initiated on here, QW. Trying to clear out the creep wave, but around the backside, Faceless Void picked off. Well timed with the silence, like you mentioned. QW goes in, or Matumba Man goes in on QW. It's the other way around. He mechs, will be able to swag his way back to the well. And now the Void buys back to get into this fight. He still has the Chronosphere available, but they will lose their mid lane of barracks. I think PR hoping to catch a few on the retreat to make this buyback worth it. And if they don't, that is a big sunk cost on the Void that has not really helped them out at all.
Yeah, that is... I mean, he already, like, threw his BKB down the drain with that Shadow Blade pickup, but then buying back here, it's just... It's extremely destructive to his item progression, and they just, of course, lose their racks. They do not take the Aegis, and I think they're pretty happy to just look to close this one out very, very shortly. I would love to say that there's a really good chance, but barring the perfect initiation with this Echo Slam, global, everything, it's just not there. Matumba Man does Omni Slash right into the smoke and almost gets a kill out of it.
He still has the Aegis. He's still alive. He gets a kill on the Faceless Void. That's now a dieback on him.
Oh
J4 goes down as well. It's Matumba Man versus the world. Now the Supernova. They get down the silencer. QW tries to stand his ground, but GG is called before the fight's even over. Dityaron knows this game is done, and it'll be 4 ASC that take game 1 in this best-of-3 series. Now 1 victory away from qualifying for Phase 2 of the Summit 3 Europe. Oh my gosh, what a game to start this series. The underdogs, Blaze, coming out hot and giving Power Rangers a run for their money.
Looking insanely good in terms of just pickoffs across the map to control the dire jungle and make it so that the Shadow Fiend can't snowball the way he wants to. They maneuvered against the Chronosphere really well. They kept the silencer under-leveled, so we only saw like 2 globals that entire game. And, I mean, finishing it off with a 1v5 play on the Juggernaut. Like, you see the entire enemy team smoke you, and you're just like, YOLO, Omni Slash, easy, I've got the Aegis, and there you go. He just breaks it down hard, so that is a very unfortunate game for Power Rangers. Hopefully they don't let history repeat itself with an easy 2-0. For either side. That's how all the matches between these two teams have gone in the past, but I'd like to see it go the distance. I'd like to see PR pull together, and we'll see a nice fleshed out match.
Well, game number 2 right around the corner, folks. A big one. This is single limb. If 4ASC can win this, they'll move on, and Power Rangers will walk away empty-handed, and that'll be the end of their run here in the Summit 3 European qualifiers. Stick around, folks, because more Dota 2 action is coming your way after this short break.